Welcome to Wear Your Cape to Work, a podcast hosted by Project Insight. We believe that project and program managers are the real superheroes of every organization. We want you to hear their stories so you can be inspired to wear your own cape to work. Today's guest is Francis Solomon Knox, Senior Director of Portfolio Management at Breakthrough T1D, which is a leading global type 1 diabetes research and advocacy organization and a Project Insight customer. Throughout Francis's career, he has led portfolio transformation work in government, nonprofit, and enterprise organizations. As a customer of ours, we've had the opportunity to see Francis's superpowers in action firsthand. He has a tremendous strength in turning a complex mix of stakeholders into a well-orchestrated whole. We're excited to have him on the show, and we know you're going to enjoy this episode. So thank you so much for joining us today, Francis. We're so happy to have you here on Wear Your Cape to Work.
Thanks for having me, Trina and Steve, and I'm excited to share my experience and knowledge and throughout my career.
We're excited too.
That's great.
We know that you've been a customer of Project Insight for some time, and it's been our pleasure to get to know you in that working relationship. Let's maybe ask about how you got into the world of project and portfolio management to begin with.
Yes, I mean, it's a couple of years ago. I usually call myself an accidental project manager because my background is systems management, systems implementation. You know, I got a master's degree in computing and information systems. So I was employed in one of the companies in the UK because I spent most of my career in the UK. I was employed by one of the councils, the Hammersmith and Fulham Council, as the head of systems and development and projects and management information. So I had a big team of project managers, system administrators, BI report writers, and so on and so forth. So they were actually discussing the idea of implementing an enterprise resource and planning solution across the council at the time. And I just joined, and the assistant chief exec asked, would you like to program manage this? I said yes. At the time, I had no project management background. My background was just managing systems and making sure that they run smoothly and providing system supports, you know. So I decided to program manage the projects, and we were implementing finance, payroll, HR, learning and development, recruitment, the entire suite of an enterprise resource planning system, including business intelligence, and then deploying that solution out to over 3,500 users across the council in Hammersmith in London. So I had a project manager that I worked with, and we pretty much got into doing the business case and also getting that business case approved and identifying a vendor, making sure that the vendor, we actually selected a cloud vendor at the time, a cloud solution at the time. So it was easy for us to get them inducted into what we're trying to do or onboard them like that. And then we got the program going, and then also started doing change management work in terms of putting together a change management strategy and how we engage with our stakeholders, because as I said earlier, we were going to deploy this solution to 3,500 users across the council, you know. So that project went really, really well. And then for me, the area that I enjoyed most was the change management aspect of it, you know. And as a program manager, there's a lot of coordination work that involves in program management, managing dependencies, working closely with the technical team, as well as business stakeholders as well. So I quickly found that I enjoyed bringing clarity to complex problems and helping teams move from ideas to execution, deployment, and adoption.
Did you realize that you liked it because you noticed that you were talented with it? Did you know you were talented before you got into this role? I mean, where did that enjoyment kick in? I'm always curious if that's something that you knew you had or if you realized you had while you were doing it.
Well, we all do project management in some ways in our career, even if you're not a certified project manager, you know. So for me, the aspect of project management that I enjoyed most was the interaction with stakeholders, and I knew I was very good with that in engaging, influencing stakeholders, trying to get buy-in from them. So using those skills plus the limited knowledge that I had with project management at the time, I was able to successfully deploy and then roll this out to the entire council to over 3,500 users successfully.
Right.
Yes.
That's a huge group.
Yeah.
That's a huge group. Steve, you were going to say
that
something.
is. I mean, well, I was going to say that, getting back to, we hear this all the time where, hey, I was in IT and then I got asked to be the project manager. So that's not like something we haven't heard before, but the fact that you just got into something really big in your first project, that sounds really crazy, because a lot of times it's like, well, I had a small team of 5 people. Rolling something out to 3,500 people is a lot more challenging.
And then after that, we were actually discussing merging the 3 councils together. So Hammersmith and Fulham, Westminster and City Council, and Kensington and Chelsea Council, all 3 were discussing merging. And I was part of those discussions as well, representing Hammersmith and Fulham. So as soon as I finished this ERP implementation, they asked if I could program lead the tribal. So that's how I ended up in that tribal role. And I think I was there for 2.5 years and program managing that, harmonizing terms and conditions of service across the 3 organizations, and creating a consolidated chart of accounts within the ERP systems that we were implementing at the time, and building the organizational structure for all 3 councils. So it was quite an exciting program. And at the time, we had to bring in PricewaterhouseCoopers to help us with the change management side of things. So I learned a lot from them from a change management perspective, and that program went really, really well. And some of the challenges that we had with that program was more when it comes to around harmonizing terms and conditions to service across the 3 councils, because some people don't want to let go of the good benefits that they have, So dealing with the unions it was a nightmare, but we got there eventually. So we were able to harmonize, we were able to merge, and we were able to deploy the solution across all 3 councils.
I love those 3 words: harmonize, manage, deploy.
Deploy, yes.
Well, that's some of the things I was noticing in your implementation at Breakthrough, was that you were able to somehow diffuse any little thing that people might be concerned with. You handled them. I was like, wow, that was magic.
Yeah, it's based on experience.
Right.
I mean, as you go along, I mean, you have more complex projects, you encounter complex problems, difficult stakeholders, and you pretty much learn how to deal with difficult people, because there's 3 types of stakeholders that you deal with when you're implementing a solution or introducing something new. You have the ones that embrace the change, and then you have people who are kind of like in between. I'm not so sure, but I'll wait and see how you guys progress. And then you have the ones who are outrightly against change, So you have to devise a change management strategy to be able to combat those 3 sets of group. And at the end of the day, and try and secure some kind of alignment and then agreement across those 3 groups before that solution is ready to be rolled out, or whichever change that you're rolling out, Tina. So
when you have a new challenge or a new project, do you in your mind figure out who the supporters are ahead of time and segment them, and then you segment that group out before, like make an assessment?
Yeah, you do a stakeholder assessment, and then assess the stakeholder, assess their likes, their dislike, and then what types of communication, how they like to get their communication, and so on and so forth. All of those things you take cognizance of, document it, and then they pretty much form the basis as to how you engage with them on a regular basis throughout the course of the project, because every project implementation is a change, and the change work itself starts from once we start an ideation right through into initiating that project. The change process starts from that point onwards, because you need to gain buy-in from stakeholders. If you don't get buy-in from stakeholders, then that change is going to be difficult for you to roll out that change, because at the end of the day, it's about people, not necessarily about process. If you're able to convince those people that this change will yield this benefits, then they will embrace it. And you have to work with them as a team, as opposed to you just dictating to them. So that's the way I go about my change work.
Yeah, I hear two things from you. That whole idea of every project is actually change management, right? Every implementation is going to involve some sort of change in function, change in process, change in the system that you're using. So there's change involved on the daily, and getting those early adopters in ahead, like you were mentioning, Steve, and you said you were doing, Francis, is probably your best place to begin, right? If the early adopters can sway that middle group that weren't sure on the fence, you may not always have that last group that is kind of digging their heels in, but if you can win the majority over, then the ship keeps moving forward.
Yes.
That's great.
I mean, he's talking like, oh, of course,
It'll
this is
just
just a
happen.
day in the park.
Yes,
But
right.
I think a lot of project managers are challenged by that.
Yes, I do too.
I don't think it's easy.
No, and we know that each project manager brings, special skills and talents to the equation, and yours probably is this comfort with managing stakeholders around change and something that's going to be an adjustment. But let's go back and talk a little bit about Breakthrough T1D so that people know the type of work that you're doing right now. Tell us a little bit about the company. What is their work and what is it like to work as a portfolio director there at the company?
Well, Breakthrough T1D is it's a non-profit organization. Our job is with opening the doors that were once closed to type 1 diabetes diagnosis. We're actually leading the way to a more effective solutions to connect the brightest minds. So we have like a research department that works with those scientists to be able to advance treatment for type 1 diabetes. We also influence policy also in Congress, in DC.
Oh yeah, lobbying.
And those are the various ways we try and collaborate with various groups, the research team, scientists, and also the Congress to try and get some grants from them to help to push forward the work that we do, and also to improve the access to care. So by driving this innovation forward, Breakthrough T1D will make type 1 diabetes a condition of the past. The mission of the organization is to accelerate this life-changing breakthrough to cure, prevent, and treat type 1 diabetes and its complications. So that is our mission. And from our own area, for example, the technology team where I'm based, our job is to provide the tools, systems necessary to support our constituents and our donors, to ensure that they have that seamless user interaction with us, and giving them that the courage and the support to log into our systems, explore and see what we do, and make donations to the cause. Pretty much, yeah.
So you're managing the team that are developing the systems that clients and users and other.
We project manage those changes. So the requests coming. And then we assess the request, requirement comes out of it, and those requirements form things like solution design. From solution design, my project managers, I do have project managers, Scrum Masters, and BA in my team. So they pretty much drive the process from ideation with the business, right, through to initiation, planning, execution, and monitor and control, reporting back progress, and until we deploy that change, and also involving the change team to help gain adoption as well. So that's what my team do, is pretty much taking the organization through a journey from start right through to they have a solution that they use to do their jobs on a daily basis. And the same for our donors as well and constituents.
So you're working with your team to manage the work of the technical team, and the technical team is connected to all the other teams, the scientists, the lobbyists, the other operations teams.
Yeah, being I would call myself a project manager in Breakthrough T1D, it is challenging, and at the same time rewarding as well, because the role of a project manager within Breakthrough T1D pretty much orchestrates people, priorities, and progress. So technology investments deliver measurable impact for the organization, So from a project management perspective, our responsibility, we are like owner and we own and deliver outcomes pretty much. So we are responsible for end-to-end delivery of initiatives from intake and planning through execution, launch, and also close out, So success isn't just on time and on budget, but also it's on delivery and intended business value. From a portfolio perspective, when you talk about portfolio, we're talking about value management. What value this portfolio is bringing to the organization, as opposed to project and program. We talk about benefits. So that's the difference between those two.
I was headed there in my mind too, in this segue of, wow, these are a lot of things happening under one giant organization. And there are initiatives that serve your mission, for Breakthrough T1D. And it's not just checking off this project or this thing to be delivered or this, requirement to be met, but each of those has to inform that strategic motion forward into the future for the company's mission. And that's where a lot of companies struggle without project managers at the helm, because it just becomes a matter of we're just checking off a bunch of tasks, and do they actually inform or fuel this mission forward? That portfolio management is a great picture for successful companies to have.
And absolutely, because that's what we do for the PMO team that I manage. Our role is being accountable for the full picture of work across the organization in terms of technology. Investment it's not just individual projects. It is the strategic leadership role that I play in terms of the role focused more on making sure that the right work is being done in the right way across the organization and at the right time to deliver the most value to Breakthrough T1D. You see, like I said, portfolio focuses more on doing the work right. Whilst projects focuses on doing portfolio focuses on doing the right work, whilst project focuses on doing the work right. So that's the difference between the two, And in saying that is any initiatives that comes into the project management team or PMA, and then has to be assessed against the strategic objectives of the organization. You see, so we have 3 strategic objectives that we assess our projects against. They have to. For example, this one was deepen engagement and support. Another one was operational and financial support, and so on and so forth. So whoever is sending requests in, they need to align those requests with one of those 3 strategic objectives. And we also have business drivers as well that goes with those requests. And the business drivers helps in terms of prioritization.
Right. And things come in. We've had, it's really nice to look at that as an ideal, right? We've got these initiatives, we've got this business value that we want to bring. This is the prioritized order that we'd like to work with. It seems logical. And then there's always a pet initiative that pops up, or a new project that has to happen, or some system is no longer going to be available to us. And so we have to pivot and do something else. Are you in the middle of those kinds of things too at Breakthrough T1D?
We are in the middle of those kind of things. I am in the middle of it in terms of prioritization across competing demands. We have loads of demands coming into the departments, and sometimes everything is urgent for everybody.
Right.
So our job is to ensure that those initiatives that come in for work, they are the right. They've been assessed through the business drivers. And then the solution that we have in place that we're working with Project Insights to develop is those initiatives are scored. And once they're scored, they are ranked as well. So if you have
that's the hardest part.
Yeah, so if you have 4 initiatives that has the same score, then maybe we don't have the resource or capacity to do all 4 at the same time. Right. That's where the ranking comes into play, where you have to work with the stakeholder to say, okay, well, you have these 4 initiatives, they're all saying the same thing in terms of 10, 10, 10. We need to do something about that. So they will work with us to say, okay, this one is number 1, number 2, and so on and so forth. And that gives us that, the instructions that this is what we need to focus our attention on from a resourcing perspective, so we can get this done to help support the mission and drive what we're trying to do forward. So
that's so powerful.
Yes.
It's so powerful to have that decision at the ready, based on data, based on what's going on, based on those initial objectives that everybody set up. The mission is there. Those strategic initiatives are there. We already planned that we're going to meet these, and now this score can actually help you decide, which is the real priority. And then you can inform your stakeholders and your leadership team. Did Project Insight bring any help to that in particular?
Oh yes, I mean for me, what Project Insight brings from a project management perspective, and also they gave us a centralized solution because I was looking for a portfolio management system that has project management, resource management, finance management, benefits management, all encapsulated into one product. So we can do what we want to do and integrate with other systems as well. So Project Insight gives us that flexibility of having that centralized visibility across all our projects. So that centralized visibility makes portfolio management in Project Insight easier, and it also enables the team that are using the system now to quickly assess and then where we are with project status. It also enabled them to prioritize work strategically, evaluate requests against capacity, goals, and resources to decide what to do now and what to do later. So it gives us that flexibility to be able to plan, to balance our workload, to make better decisions with standardized data. So I'm very, very happy because it took us a couple of months to identify the right product for the organization. And it was a lot of back and forth. In the end, we decided that Project Insight is the product for us to take us forward.
Yeah, I was going to mention that one of the things I think that I've seen you guys doing is using Project Insight to give you an overview of the whole portfolio and all the intake, but then still allowing the team that uses the Jira for the day-to-day, they can stay in that tool and it doesn't disrupt them. So I think that was something that seemed like that was an important aspect.
Yes, and we were pleasantly surprised to hear that your system, Project Insight, can seamlessly integrate with Jira. That was like that was a big surprise to us.
Mm-hmm.
And then setting it up and everything, and the way that integration worked because our team, the technical team, they love Jira, so they didn't want to come off Jira. So we came to some kind of agreement that, okay, we'll keep Jira, but we still need that centralized visibility of all projects. We want to be able to report and then show executives, give them accurate information rather than picking from various spreadsheets or different systems to produce reports. So we integrated the Jira and it works. We can pull the information from Jira into Project Insight. We can push information from Project Insight into Jira as well. So it gives us that flexibility. Yeah.
How much time do you think that saves you from all of those spreadsheets? We have a lot of listeners in our audience who are doing the same thing. They're right. Well, we have project managers. They can just gather this data and do these metrics and report from all the different teams and put it all into that one place.
It is. I mean, it saves us a lot of time, and especially for my team, because the various teams, like the product team, the developers, these teams, they're happy with their respective silos. Some of them are using Monday, some using Jira and spreadsheet and smart sheets. They're happy with those silos because they do what they need to do for their stakeholders. But when it comes to providing that oversight to executives, that visibility as to how the technology department as a whole is performing on those initiatives coming in, it's difficult for us to do that because we have to keep pulling information from various systems. And even when we do so, they are not 100% accurate. But with having all of the information in a one centralized repository gives us that flexibility to report correctly and also confidently to our stakeholders.
Yeah. So you're saving time and it's happening in real time instead of,
yes, it is.
This data wasn't from last week because Julie passed it over on Wednesday and then I dealt with it a month later and all of that.
Correct. And the plan is once, because we're still finalizing Project Insight implementation, the plan is to give our execs access to Project Insight so they can drill through from, they don't need to ask us, they can have access to the system, open dashboards, drill through those dashboards to get to what they want, or if it's just an overview of what is happening in their respective areas or across the organization, we want them to be able to see that. So for me, transparency is very, very important.
We always want to, we've always said that our mission here is to try to make the lives easier of the project managers or anybody that really, all of your work. And, that's our goal.
Yes, it's all about collaborating, and then bringing teams together, working together as a team, and making sure that why we're doing it, they understand the why we're doing this, and we work to be able to come together to deliver something good for the organization. We just finished an organization-wide project. It's called Field Acceleration, which I just told you about when we started.
Sure.
That project touches every area in the organization, every
Oh, wow.
systems organization. So,
Okay.
and one of my project manager actually managed that project, and she did a fantastic job in terms of bringing the stakeholders together, collaborating with them, creating the schedule, and determining the level of efforts that is required for each work to be done for each systems. All of that is done. And then towards the end for deployment, we created also our own book. We call it like the quarterly plan or the minute by minute plan
Okay.
as to how things will be deployed across these systems to
Wow.
ensure a smooth go live. So that's what I mean, and collaboration is all about. Working with various teams, the technical team, the developers, the business stakeholders, because they're the ones who are doing the user acceptance testing in the end. Bring them in to be part of this big project. And you have people working together in unison. At the end of the day, it's going to be a successful outcome. So, and that's what we got eventually. Yeah.
It's a symphony, not chaos, just like you said,
Yes.
right? You bring
That's
all
what
of that
Symphony.
together and you're orchestrating it and it sounds beautiful as opposed to being just banging gongs and cymbals and
It does. It does. It does. I mean, because the work we do is people centric. You can't be successful in this. I mean, area without engaging in working with people to deliver something for success. So everything we do is around people change, improving processes, improving people's way of doing things. Identifying the impact, the change impacts, and then documenting current states. This is how you do it now, and this is how you're going to be doing it, and this is the change impacts. These are the things that you need to take cognizance of, for in using the new change. So yeah, I like it. I enjoy doing it.
can you think of maybe something that might help each of our audience members, what to focus on when it comes to getting to know your stakeholders and having them build trust in you? What is a key point that you would recommend?
It's about trust. You have to be able to trust and influence stakeholders. And for me, is all about influencing my stakeholders, making sure that they believe in what I'm trying to develop or to deploy. And sometimes we go to stakeholders towards the end to inform them that this is what we've done. And that's not project management. That's not change management. Change management starts from the beginning where you get the stakeholders involved. And when you involve the stakeholders, they become part of that community. They feel valued, and then they're able to contribute to the success that we're trying to roll out. So that's how I do it. I mean, from my perspective, in terms of advising project managers that are in the business trying to is all around experience. With time you gain experience in every complex projects that you do. You meet different people. You apply change in different ways, because the way I did change when I was in Tribal in London was different from the way I implemented change in another organization as well. So I learned from my mistakes, and I incorporated new things that I learned from previous into that, and so on and so forth, until I get to them up to this point. And then that's my advice to them, to just keep pushing forward.
Yeah. And that's the name of the podcast. I mean, we call it Wear Your Cape to Work. We're going to send you a superhero mug so you can continue to remember that we think of you as a superhero project and program portfolio manager out there. But each one of the project managers listening or who have been a part of our show wear a very special cape to the place that they're working. And that cape may have started small, like you said early on, or it was unexpected that you even wore the cape that you had to wear, but it's now grown into your particular superpower, your particular super skill. And it just becomes deeper and deeper and more a part of who you are, and the reason that your organizations trust you to help lead these great initiatives and bring their business value forward. So thank you a ton for joining us today. We're so glad to have you on the show, but also to have Breakthrough T1D as a Project Insight customer. It's just been a pleasure.
Thank you so much for your time, and thanks for inviting me.
Thank you for joining us today on the Wear Your Cape to Work podcast, hosted by Project Insight. If you enjoyed today's episode, please like, follow, or leave us a comment. If you subscribe to our YouTube, Spotify, Apple, or other favorite podcast channels, you'll receive notifications of all of our new episodes. We'd also love it if you would share Wear Your Cape to Work with your network of PMPs or anyone else who might enjoy the show. Project Insight is an online project and portfolio management software that helps companies connect project data from across all of their teams and software tools so that they can make confident decisions about their business. Our website is projectinsight.com, and there you can find many resources for project professionals, including free PDU webinars, as well as a place to register for a demonstration or a consultation with one of our success teams. Thank you once again for joining today's conversation, and most importantly, thanks for wearing your cape to work.